Hello everyone, welcome to another podcast. My name's Ben Lister. Welcome back to another podcast here on YouTube. Today's podcast is with Darren Antrobus, episode 14 of the BL and Friends podcast, so here it is. Hello and welcome to another podcast. It's Ben Lister here. How are you doing today? And welcome to episode 14 of the BL and Friends podcast, and episode 102 of the year. Right, let's crack on. As you know, each week I have a guest to talk about their career or their hobby or their job. So let's crack on with this week's guest. It's broadcaster from all different radio stations. It's the one, the only, Darren Antrobus.
Hi Ben, how are you?
Along. Did I get that right?
You can change the A to a U, but listen, Daz will do. Just call me Daz.
Daz. Hello, how are you?
I'm absolutely great, Ben. How are you?
Fine, just busy, doing lots of podcasts. The 102nd of the year you are.
I feel old now that I'm 102.
No, you're the 102nd podcast of the year.
Brilliant.
Yeah. How are you today?
Absolutely fine. Yeah. Looking forward to the weekend, to be honest. After a week of breakfast shows again, I look forward to my 2 lions I get at the weekend.
You're not doing any radio work this weekend then?
The plan is not yet, but the phone normally rings and they go, "Can you help me?"
So you're on cover duty then for different stations like Sean Goldsmith?
No, cover duty for the company that I work for, the D Radio Group.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay then, that's good. You ready to rumble in the jungle?
Yeah, kind of. I don't think you ever get ready.
Let's hit the start button then. Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
I started my broadcast career, probably like many of your other radio legendary guests that you've had. Hospital radio. Is that setting a pattern, Ben? Have they all said that?
Some have, some haven't.
So, yeah, hospital radio is where I started it in Stoke-on-Trent. And the radio station was a really clever name because it was a hospital radio station. The name was called Forward Radio. But if you put it together, it was Forward Radio.
Brilliant. Brilliant start to your career. We'll go on to question 2 now, and a question which you might like. Who were your inspirations in broadcasting when you were starting out?
Oh, Ben, how long have we got to name like 1 million people here? At the start of my career, it would have to be somebody that comes from the same city as me, the same county, which is Stoke-on-Trent. And you've already interviewed him, Bruno Brooks. When I was young, Bruno Brooks was the name. When I was starting out, right, doing hospital radio, doing pubs and weddings and discos, everyone used to say to me, "You're the next Bruno Brooks. You are. You do radio. You do this, that, and the other." And Bruno Brooks was a hero of mine at the start of my career, but I've had a number of idols as I've gone on my radio journey, Ben.
Brilliant. One of my heroes as well is Tony Blackburn, Chris Tarrant.
They are all legends, Ben. All of them, absolutely brilliant legends.
You ever listened to Chris Tarrant before?
Yes, I've got some. I'm an anorak, so I've got some old recordings on tape somewhere of him when he was on the Great Capital in London back in the day.
Yeah, when Kenny Everett was on.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Fox.
Dr. Fox.
Who's a very good friend of mine on Facebook.
I know, I'm dead jealous of that, by the way.
Just send him a friend request and send him I have his email, so if possible, I'll send it over to you and I'll send Bruno's over.
Oh, that would be amazing, Ben. Amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah, because they'll hopefully come on, but I'm not sure. Neil will come on camera, but Bruno will probably do it over audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of my friends, Rob Charles, as well, who I've interviewed.
Rob John. That's a name from the past, that one is.
What station was he on when you were young?
It used to be called, it became Rock FM in the end, but it was Red Rose.
Yeah.
So that goes back a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a guy who likes to loophole things, as I've said earlier. So I always find a clause in writing stuff and contractual stuff.
Fabulous.
I'm known as a negotiator.
Ben the Negotiator. You should use that as a radio name.
I know how to work around deals, you see. Anyway, yeah, as I say, also one of my heroes was Stephanie Hurst when she was back on the Galaxy.
Back on Galaxy, yeah, years ago. Oh,
Hurst did Daily Dose.
yeah. Legendary again.
Yeah, with Hursty, Danny and Danny and Jojo. Because the nearest Galaxy station to you, I think, was Manchester 102.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
And there was a guy who was on there as well called Dan O'Connell.
Don't know that name. I was listening to Galaxy when a guy called Steve, oh, I forget the name now, but he used to do like a Saturday night mix show. And that was really good.
Andy Durant.
That's it. Not Steve. There's me being an idiot. Andy Durant. That's the guy. Yes.
The DJ, Andy Durant, the legendary DJ.
Yeah. He was superb.
I was told a story about him. He's been around all the nightclubs, I've been told. He goes around the nightclubs quite a lot.
Yeah. I never met the guy, but I do know of him on the nightclub scene because I used to do some nightclubs myself back in the day.
Brilliant. Yeah, and you also look at Toby Tarrant as well on XFM, Radio X. The son of Chris.
Yes. Yeah. Although they don't, I think they sound similar, don't they? Chris and Toby. Yeah. They've got the same sort of delivery and voice tone.
Chris does more television these days.
Right.
But he actually does a bit for Great British Radio, which is Kevin King's station.
Oh, right. I don't know that one.
He has people like Sean Tilley on. It's a station where they do interviews with celebrities, but they have soaps. They have a soap section, a chat section, a music section, every section for every topic, but they play music in between interviews and music.
Oh, brilliant. I need to check that one out because that's one I don't know about yet.
Great British Radio. Yeah, brilliant. Question 3. What is your favourite part about the job?
It's a really, really geeky and anorak answer. But I like the sound of the segues. You know, when you put the jingles between the songs and when they sound smooth and tight and bright and they flow really well. The craftsmanship and creativity of some of those segues is I think makes, for me, radio. That's what radio stands out.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's good. And we'll move on to question 4 now because I don't want to keep you for long. How has COVID affected your life and line of work?
Oh, that's a great question. It affected it quite a bit because when I joined the D Radio Group, I joined as the breakfast presenter originally about 7 years ago. And then after about 3 years, they put me onto the drive time show, the afternoon slot. And And then when Boris says, right, we're locking down, this was March 2020, I got a phone call from my boss who went, right, everyone's going to be working from home, but I still need you to come in here and be the breakfast presenter again. So then I went back to the breakfast show and did, a year and a half now on the breakfast show again. So it affected me quite a bit because I got used to doing afternoons. Then I had to go back to doing breakfast again.
Nice. Confusing as well.
My sleep pattern was a bit of a mess, Ben.
Yeah. We'll move on to my last question. What advice would you give to young, aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
Ooh, how many pieces of advice would you like, Ben? I've got a few little bits.
Just give us the short and sweet.
Okay, right. So I would say just be yourself. Just be who you are. Because the amount of times that I used to in the early days of my career, so I'm going back to 1997, 1998, when I was in my teens, I would walk into a radio station and try and be the next, I don't know, Gary Davis, be the next Bruno Brooks or whoever it is. They weren't interested in that. They wanted to know Darren Antrobus. They wanted to know me. They wanted to hear my accent, my Stokey accent. And I wasn't giving them that. I was giving them this, hi, I'm a radio DJ and I'm dead slick and I'm really tight and I got a great voice. And they don't want that anymore. And they've not wanted that for a long time. And it took me a while to realize that just go in and be yourself. That is what they want. They want a natural communicator.
Brilliant. That's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us, Darren.
Thank you, Ben. Been a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you. Do join me again soon for another podcast, but for now, please give it up for Mr. Darren Antrobus.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching and listening. This will be available on my YouTube channel and wix.com. And do join me again soon for another podcast. Thanks very much for joining me. And that's a wrap. That was my interview with Darren Antrobus, episode 14 of the BL and Friends podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it filled a gap in your time. And hope it made you smile. More uploads coming from me in a bit, so I'll see you then. More media uploads. Bye.